Guys, do not go anywhere. This is your ultimate FPL guide for the 24-25 season. In today's show, we're going to be looking at the best attacks, the best defenses. We're going to look at fixture swings. We're going to look at the new rules and how that affects our player choices. And we're going to be looking at the premium assets. Do we buy them or do we swerve them? So look, let's get cracking. Guys, welcome to the Gianni Batici YouTube show. Hope you guys are well and you're enjoying all this tinkering and prep time in FPL. Guys, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button nice and early. And look, let's crack on with the best attacks and defenses from last season. This is really interesting to note when we're making and building our game week 1 squads. Who were the big winners last season in terms of teams? Before we even look at individuals, right? So I filtered this, and this is all from the Scout members area. But if we look at the best attacks, I'm judging it from goals, from expected goals, XG, and from big chances that team creates. Now, coming out on top, we have Man City. Not only do they score the most goals, but they get the 3rd biggest chances and the 2nd highest XG. That means they come out joint top with actually Liverpool. Bit of a surprise here, maybe, that Liverpool match Man City for attacking numbers. Liverpool have got higher XG than Man City, and they create more chances, although they did score fewer goals. At number 3, we've got Newcastle. Again, a really, really good attack. We have to look at Isak and Gordon and even consider the double up, especially with their fixture swings. At number 4, quite surprisingly, actually, you probably expected Arsenal to be a little higher. They were 2nd for goals, but they slipped in big chances where they were 5th and in XG where they were 3rd. And Chelsea, again, we don't know what they're going to look like under the new manager, but under Pochettino, yeah, they were good in attack. The conversion wasn't great. They were 5th for goals and they were 5th for XG, and they did create the 4th most big chances. So look, the 5 best attacking teams, that's pretty cool. Let's have a look at some individual players from last season very quickly. In midfield and attack, we can see Palmer, Foden, Saka, top of the charts. I was surprised to see the prices of Palmer 10.5, Saka 10 and Foden 9.5. I actually feel like they all should have probably been the same. Does that mean Palmer's overpriced? Does that mean Foden's underpriced? Maybe. And in attack, we can see why Watkins, Haaland, Solanke, Isak, they're the 4 big ones, and they're all so good. Isak's coming at 8.5. Watkins at 9 feels underpriced. Solanke at 7.5 feels like a bargain, and Haaland at 15 maybe is a tad expensive. Let's just touch on the best defenses. Again, all this data is from the Scout members area. Again, my filter here is goals conceded, expected goals conceded, and clean sheets. And guys, we all knew this. Arsenal come out on every metric. Arsenal are an elite defence and they're fixture proof as well. So when we see the fixtures, we shouldn't be too put off by Arsenal's difficult start to the season. Arsenal are the best defence. Then we have Man City in 2nd and Liverpool actually in 3rd, which is quite surprising maybe. But what's really interesting here, the top 5 defences in the league include Everton in 4th and Palace in 5th. Guys, I'm going to do an entire show on best attacks and defenses and look at this data in more granular detail coming up in pre-season. So guys, please do consider subscribing to the channel if this is the sort of stuff you like, because I'll do a dedicated 15-20 minutes on attack and defense. This is just a whistle-stop tour as part of our ultimate guide. So look, Everton and Palace defenders, let's not neglect them in our game week 1 teams. And remember, guys, these are cheap players. Mark Gahey, 4.5. Everton centre-backs for 5 million. Yeah, I like Everton and Palace defence from game week 1. We can see last year it was Pickford who came out on top. Raya 2nd, who was 5.5. And Leno is 4.5 this season. Again, Onana at 5. In terms of defenders, yeah, we know the Arsenal guys are going to be expensive. And Pedro Porro is 5.5. Branthwaite, 5 million there as well. So let's have a look at the fixture swing, shall we? Guys, I am going to be going through the premium assets and I am going to be going through the bonus points changes and how that's going to affect our game. So if you're enjoying the show, thank you guys for hitting that like button. But look, the big 8 fixture ticker, this is really cool because we've always called them the big 4 or the big 6. I think we all know who those teams are. But big 8 now, I think we probably include, say, Newcastle and Aston Villa. So it's the historical big 6 plus Newcastle, Aston Villa. How do their fixtures look? Well, I've ordered it in terms of difficulty from game week 1, and Liverpool have the best fixtures by a country mile. Then it's Newcastle, Man United. Arsenal have the trickiest fixtures of the big 8, but as I mentioned, with their defence and for clean sheets, they're kind of fixture proof, like they kept clean sheets against Man City last season, don't forget. So I look at the ticker, and I think, yeah, I want double Liverpool, minimum. I want double Newcastle, minimum. Man United, I'm not so sure about because there's consistently problems. I definitely want a Villa player or 2. maybe a Chelsea player or two, and obviously Man City. Do I consider going without Spurs or Arsenal? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. So look, that's the big eight. But what other teams caught the eye? Because look, I don't want to just go through a fixture ticker with all 20 teams. There's a lot of data to absorb. Where are we doing most of our shopping? 90% of teams are going to be filled with these eight. They really are. And with the player pricing, we can probably afford for them to be maybe 80%. But then the other 20%, sure, we're going to look at all other, let's do quick maths here, 8 minus 20, all other 13 teams in the league. Gosh. Yeah, that's right. All other 13 teams in the league. So look, let's just pick out a couple of them. I've picked out Fulham, Palace, Everton, and Bournemouth. So another 4. Okay. So here we have 11 teams on show. There are 9 to still consider, and do go check their fixtures out. But Fulham have a good run. Crystal Palace have a really nice run. I like the Everton fixtures too, and the Bournemouth fixtures. And when we pick out individuals, at Fulham, there's 6 million Moniz. There's defenders at 4.5 and the goalkeeper at 4.5, Leno. At Palace, there's 4.5 options at the back and Eze at 7 million, who I really like. Mateta 7.5. Everton have got a ton of defenders I could be attracted to. And Bournemouth, of course, have Solanke. And again, you look at these fixtures for Solanke, you go, yeah, I see goals. I see goals in 2-3 of those 5 games as a minimum, I feel like. So that's where we're at with the fixture ticker. How about we move on and keep this fast pace as part of our ultimate guide, away from fixtures, but to the new scoring system. And guys, I'm going to get to the premium assets and do we buy them or not. But what's interesting for the new changes, for me, we know there's the chip. We know we can roll 5 free transfers. The big one for me, though, is the bonus point system and how that's going to affect our decision making. So I've got some really rich data to show you in just a second. But first, what are the changes? Well, there's 32 metrics that already make up the BPS. They're transparent. We know what they are. We know how players are rewarded and how players are punished. Strikers, for example, get minus BPS points for being offside, or attacking players do, or for missing a big chance. Defenders clock points from tackles, interceptions, blocks. Well, they've changed the saving penalty metric from plus 15 to plus 9. Great, because it was almost like you save a penalty, you get 3 bonus points. Don't like that. They could have a shocker and still get 3 bonus. But they've added 4 new metrics. Now, defensive players, every time they concede a goal, they are punished in the BPS. But every time they make a goal line clearance, they are rewarded plus 3. I think in overall, defenders might lose out from these new changes. But attacking players definitely luck out, because attacking players can now get more points for every time they win a foul and for shots on target, plus 2 and plus 1 for a foul. So who are the players that get fouled the most? Who are the players that have the most shots? I'm going to make this a little bit easier for you guys to view. If you're listening on podcast, I'm going to read out some data. This is from FPL Black Box. My good friend Mark put this together off the back of the announcement. And it's really interesting to see, because the attacking players that draw the most fouls and that have the most shots, how would that have affected their bonus points last season? Well, top of the charts, we can see this is filtered by total bonus points additions. So last season, Phil Foden got 852 BPS. Now, you add on the 48 shots on target and you add on the 60 fouls one, that's an additional 156 BPS, which is an extra 18% on his BPS, which is a load more bonus points. Those bonus points take away from other players as well, remember. So maybe that means Guardiola gets fewer. Maybe that means De Bruyne gets fewer, or Haaland gets fewer. Haaland would have had a boost in his own right, though, because again, he won, he had 57 shots on target as more than anyone, and he won a load of fouls as well. So 31 fouls. In terms of the most fouled players in the game, we can see on the third column, Bruno Guimaraes, 108, Jordan Ayew, 94. These players are heavily, heavily fouled. But there's others in there as well, like the likes of Maddison, the likes of Foden, the likes of Saka. And then in terms of shots on target, who clocks the most shots on target? And they're accumulating these plus 2 in the BPS every time. Well, again, we can see Mo Salah, 108 shots on target. Haaland, 114. Now the only 2 north of 100. But again, Cole Palmer, 92. Son, 80. These guys clocking big, big numbers. So we like them very much. We like these guys even more now for BPS. Now, those that have had big changes, we can see there in that final column in terms of percentage change. Loads are up there in the 20%. So attacking players like Solanke, for example, an extra 20% on their bonus points. Ollie Watkins, same again, an extra 18% in his bonus points. Now, this isn't his BPS, his overall bonus point score. Actual bonus points, of course, is still going to be the 3, the 2, and the 1, as it always has been. So I like that very much from FPL. I think they're positive changes. Other changes we've seen, 5 free transfers. Yeah, brilliant rule. Brilliant rule, because if you're perhaps a more casual manager and you forget to do your team, you can go, oh, I've lost out because I haven't changed the armband. I wasn't able to make a transfer, but I come back to my team after going on holiday and I've got 3 free transfers now. They've not just been wiped. It was historically 2, then wiped. Now it's up to 5 free transfers. But how will this affect the more engaged managers in terms of strategy? Well, my top line reaction was, and I guess we won't fully know until the game launches. Well, sorry, game's launched. We won't fully know until the game week 1 has started, right? And we see how, probably won't know till September, till we've played FPL for a few game weeks, and we go, how's this working for us? But I think where possible, we're going to be accumulating the transfers, so then we can do those mini wildcards, those 3-4 transfers at one time, which we used to do, which often involved hits, to target big fixture swings. But also to go up for riskier punts that are perhaps premium assets. If you're going without Haaland, maybe you go, but I'm going to get him in that week and that week because I'm going to accumulate the free transfers to do that. But if we're accumulating free transfers, what does that mean? Well, that means we have to save them. So when our player gets injured, or when they lose their place in the 11, or have a dip in form, or get suspended, maybe we don't knee-jerk sell them straight away. Maybe we bench them. But if we're benching them, we have to have a good bench. So I'm already thinking like 4 million bench fodder that I'd always have third on my bench. I'll probably spend the extra 500,000 and have a 4.5 defender instead of a 4 million defender. For example, a slightly stronger bench, certainly sub 1 or sub 2, I think is fairly important if we think we're going to be accruing and accumulating those transfers, which I think I'll do. So many times last season, I made a transfer because I was worried about losing it and I didn't want to burn it. So I made like a cheap defender move, 5th midfielder move. Didn't really probably make a difference in overall points, but I was forced to make the move because I didn't want to burn it. Well, that's not the case anymore. No pointless transfers. Every transfer is going to matter more than ever, and tactful decisions over do you hold and do you roll. I'm so looking forward to that. And I think by September, October, we'll get a better gauge of how this strategy works for us. Oh, there's going to be a new chip. Let's not talk about that too much, though, because we don't know anything about it. We're going to know ahead of January when we're going to be able to use it. So the new mystery chip will come out in January, and we'll know more about that before January. Let's talk, though, about players. The biggest players and the premiums, are we buying them or are we swerving them? Well, let's go through them one by one. First up, the biggest price rise ever in FPL, Mr. Cole Palmer, ladies and gents. He started last season at 5.5. He's now 5 million more. That matches what we saw from, Andy Carroll in 2011-12, who went from 5 to 10, and Harry Kane went from 4.5 to 9.5 in 2015-16. We've also seen other big rises in the past. Adam Sigurdsson and Mahrez. Oh, Mahrez, actually, sorry, Mahrez went 5.5. So Cole Palmer's joint second. Mahrez went from 4, as if you could have midfielders at 4 in 2016-17 to 9.5. So there we go. Let's talk about Cole Palmer then. Do we put him in our game week 1 squads? I don't know. I don't know. I'm so on the fence with this one. And you know me, I don't like to be on the fence. I have fairly strong opinions in FPL. I already think there's some big names I'm going without. Cole Palmer is one that might just be in my game week 1 team. I'd say I'm 60% at the moment likely to swerve him and 40% likely to own him. And that's probably because players like Nkunku exist at 6.5, who could be exceptional value. Now, no doubt Palmer's going to get loads more points than Nkunku, but is he worth 4 million more? I don't know. Time will tell. He has the penalty appeal, but he got a ton of pens last year. Will he get the same? The fixtures aren't bad, and he's had an unbelievable 12 months. He's had an unbelievable 12 months. I love Cole Palmer and I want to get him in my team. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to afford him, and something always has to give. So let's move away from Palmer. Let me know in the comments if he's in your game week 1 or first draft. And guys, my first draft will be out or may already be out. So watch this space on this channel for my first draft video to see if I've gone for all or any or some of the players that I'm about to show you. So look, Phil Foden is also worth discussing. We're talking premiums here. And guys, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I've got so much preseason content planned. I've skipped through very quick in today's video. Fixtures and best attacks and best defenses. I'll be doing shows on all those things in their own right in the coming days and weeks. So watch this space. I'll also be doing some team reveals with some very worthy people in the community, and maybe even some footballers and some FPL champions. So watch this space. When I say footballers, I mean Premier League footballers. So subscribe if you want to see that content and not miss out. But look, Foden, he's a lot cheaper than Mr. Cole Palmer. 10.5 Palmer, 9.5 Foden. And that, for me, banks Foden in my game week 1 team, because I think that should be the same price. And I also think the difference between Foden and Haaland is too big. I'm shocked that they've gone for 5.5 million. I think this now makes the decision fairly easy for us to go without Haaland, because we can still cover the Man City attack. If Foden was 10.5, you might go, I don't know if I can reach him, so therefore I'm just going to have Haaland, and that's my Man City attack covered. But now I'm like, I can comfortably go without Haaland, because I could even double up on De Bruyne and Foden, both at 9.5. And I love the idea of having the double up there. De Bruyne and Foden equals 19 million. That's the same as Haaland plus 4 million bench fodder. It's a no-brainer for me. Obviously, captaincy plays a big part. And when game week 2 hits and Man City play Ipswich, or game week 4 hits and Man City play Brentford, and you don't have Haaland captain, you might have FOMO. But there are other options. You could captain Foden. You could captain De Bruyne. You can captain Cole Palmer. Captain Saka. You can captain Salah. There should be enough other options also with good fixtures. So look, that's Foden and De Bruyne. I think perhaps a little bit cheap, but also I want them in my game week 1 team. I'm sure I'm absolutely 100% one of the two will be in, maybe even two find their way in. Will Haaland be in? We've just discussed it. For me, I'm going to be going, I think, without Haaland. But this could change. Haaland could bang pre-season and we go, we just need him. And the other captaincy options could have really modest pre-seasons and we go, I don't know if I see myself being able to captain a Foden or a Salah in game week 2 and 4. Therefore, I just need to go Haaland for captaincy alone for 2 and 4, which could be absolutely huge. Of course it could. At the moment, though, I'm thinking swerve. And that's because I think Mo Salah is such a good option. And again, in game week 2 and 4, Mo Salah's got home fixtures and captaincy has to be considered. So when Haaland plays Ipswich, Salah has Brentford at home. When Haaland has Brentford at home, Salah has Forest at home. Good alternative options, which makes going without Haaland comfortable. Maybe you're considering going without both, and then you can stack up on the mid-price mids, the upper to mid-price mids like Palmer, De Bruyne, Saka, Odegaard, whoever, Bruno. I feel you have to have a Salah or a Haaland because captaincy is so important in this game. Those double points are so needed. Other Liverpool players of note, we have to discuss. This is a premiums section, so we have to discuss Trent Alexander-Arnold, don't we? Like Trent, for me, yes, he's the most expensive defender in the game, but he has had a big price drop and he's still absolutely worth that. There is some speculation over if he's at Liverpool next season. I think he will be. We know Real Madrid are interested, and of course they're interested. Why wouldn't they be interested in Trent? He's the best attacking right back. Some will say in world football, he's certainly the best creative right back in world football. And because of his creativity and how that's rewarded still in the bonus point system, because of his assist threat and his goal threat from set pieces too, I want Trent in my team. The fixtures are good and I want to go double Liverpool. It is worth noting they have a new manager, and as much of a good reputation as Slot has, don't expect to see carbon cut out Jurgen Klopp football. This could take a little bit of time. So all eyes on Liverpool pre-season. If they look good enough, then double Liverpool for me in my game week 1 team. I'd be surprised if I don't have 2. Look, I'll even be tempted, maybe even have a triple up if we know who the number 9 is. Darwin, Gakpo, Jota, all contenders for that slot. Arsenal. The fixtures are rough, but I don't think that matters because Arsenal are Arsenal and they've finished second the last couple of years. They've put up, we've seen the attacking numbers, we've seen the defensive numbers. They're a team we want to, of course, invest in. Do we invest in them from the off? I might just be deterred because of the prices of their players. The defenders are expensive. Saka is more than Foden. That doesn't necessarily sit well with me. They should be the same price, in my opinion. But Odegaard, Havertz is 8 million. Yeah, there's options there. Of course there is. Wolves at home, Brighton at home, you expect goals, but they do have 3 very tough away fixtures. They go to Villa Park, they go to play Spurs, and they go to the Etihad. So 3 of the toughest away games of the entire season to start the season. Their first 3 away games, Villa, Tottenham, Man City, that might just put me off Arsenal. So look, there we go. As a recap, guys, the ultimate guide suggests back and consider last season's best defenses and last season's best attacks, because there hasn't been major changes at all these clubs. Okay, Liverpool the most with their manager change, possibly Chelsea too. Consider the fixture swings and have a look, of course, at the big 8, but also the other 12 teams in the league. I did the maths wrong earlier, didn't I? And the premiums. Consider captaincy in your decision making, and the new features, the 5 free transfers. Think about your strategy. The new bonus points. Think about when picking players who gets fouled lots, who has lots of shots. But remember, that's not +2 in points. That's just +2 in the BPS, and there's still 32 other metrics to consider. These are just 4 new additions. It's not an absolute rip up and start again job in the bonus point system. And of course, guys, for your game week 1 team, as always, chase upside. That's always my number 1 message in FPL. Who are the teams that you think could go big in the opening weeks? That might be driven by individual form. It might be driven by players having summers off that you like. The likes of, I don't know, Isak and Solanke, I think, are being probably a bit overlooked in terms of people's headspace, but also consider captaincy to a very, very strong metric and those fixture swings. Guys, thank you for watching. Do check out my first draft video on this channel and let me know your thoughts, as always, throughout pre-season. Thank you for liking. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button on the way out, and I'll see you next time.